we're live with Coffee with the Summerland Kids. I'm Jericho Wog, and this is Aaron Riggs. This is the on the road edition, Route 66. Man, I'm on the old Route 66. I'm in front of there's the old Motel 6 sign you can see in the distance. It's $66 at on Route 66 at Motel 6.
That's wait, we got one more six.
Yeah, I know, right?
Six sixes.
Yeah,
Six times
exactly.
six is 36, 9.
Yeah, and then I did the math. It's $1980 per month if you want to stay for the month. It's $1,980, and
Oh,
I mean, I guess if living on the fringe, man, if had to like have a place to fricking pull it out, you could do this, but it's like you said, the national franchise of we might not want to say that on the air of crazy national franchise of crazy now,
yeah. I'm just gonna
yeah,
say, without saying it,
yeah,
there's something to say.
no, for sure. It's wild. I mean, we're right next to probably a Denny's that used to be a Denny's, but now it's just it's nothing. um so it's interesting to see like what was the American dream back in the day, like an affordable place for the family to come stay. And I remember those commercials. It was like, yeah, I can't remember the guy's name, but it was like, come on, stay at Motel 6, da da da. Like it was a cool commercial. I kind of liked it. But it's fallen into a little disrepair. It looks like it was probably redone maybe 15 years ago. But the I think the trend is probably towards newer hotels that are better advertised and kept better quality, but you're going to pay twice / something the price. I would imagine like 150 is probably maybe the new semi-normal on
Yeah,
hotels for the night.
I think that the Motel 6 has always been an economy brand, I guess, an
Yeah,
affordability.
right,
There may not be luxuries. Not every Motel 6 has a pool or a
right,
gym,
uh-huh,
but it's an affordable place to stay, and they're usually
yeah,
clean and comfortable.
right, yeah,
I wanted
exactly,
to, we're both sporting the light blue today. I think that's
yeah,
pretty synchronistic.
yeah,
Um,
exactly, yeah, it's
you, I did the blue on blue. I know we were talking
nice,
about doing the ties. Here's
yeah,
here's my easy way to do a tie. You loop it
okay,
once around
okay, flip,
like that, and
okay,
then loop it once through. And this is probably the easiest tie, the most simple
yeah,
tie for your tie.
that's up through the middle, right? Yeah, yep, yep.
And
I
then,
think that's the one I do because it was funny. I talked about my friend Brad Knack yesterday. We did this party in Santa Barbara a long time ago, or it was a Thanksgiving Eve party. So we figured out the best time to catch all the folks back in town is when they're visiting their parents for Thanksgiving on the night before Thanksgiving. And we encouraged people to wear a tie. We wanted men to dress up. So I went to actually at the time I think it was semi pre-internet. I went to the public library and found a book with a diagram on how to tie a tie, and I included that in the party invitation for people, so they learned how to tie a tie to come to the party.
and you see, I'm having trouble with it.
Yeah, right. I
I
do
do
it a
the
couple times sometimes because I try to get my length correct. It's a challenge to get the length coming down to your belly because there is some old school, like I'd have to look up the in the 40s, like I kind of remember some little gangster vibe with the suit, and then the tie comes down like it's kind of short sometimes, but different eras of different ties. These are probably like maybe I'm not sure how old they would be. They are new. I'd say new, modern ties for sure. And the new edition I'm working on, I got mostly skinny.
Yeah, I think the thinner, longer ties are
Yeah,
definitely a newer style than
yeah, exactly,
I think
totally.
they used to have.
Yeah. So just enjoying the road. We drove up to Santa Maria yesterday through wine country, and to get my dad, and got him out of there, and hit the road, and we made it out to Needles, California, which is a funny thing. I guess it was probably maybe called Needles from the cactus. I'm just imagining, but now it's like a double meaning for some folks, which is sad but true. It's the desert. it does have some nice trees out here. I want to say they're like palm trees, like in a little oasis kind of vibe. Um, but and it's about 70 degrees. And by the way, it's 70 degrees in Summerland today. So so that's where that's at. You know, Summerland should be sunny and 70. So we're back to maybe it had some clouds, but I think we're looking at possibly a sunny day in Summerland out there.
No, very
Yeah,
nice, very nice. I know that that coastal fog is a blessing. It keeps it a little bit cooler in the
yeah,
morning, but I remember when we were kids, it was always like when it was sunny first thing in the morning, we could jump
right,
in the ocean and jump out and not freeze
exactly.
while we're
Yeah,
waiting
totally.
and
Did you
stuff.
get
So,
us shared on Facebook Live? Yeah,
oh
yeah,
no, I appreciate
yeah,
the
yeah.
heads
That'd be
up. Let
cool.
me get
We
that
got a couple of my friends.
switched
I
over.
got to go. One friend, Mark. I think up on the mountain. Say hi to Mark. He is he was our host last night before last, and up on San Marcos Pass, and he's holding down the fort up there, and yeah. So you know, Santa Barbara's. It's funny out there in Santa Barbara. What they've done is they have like a building moratorium of some sort where the it can't go really up because Santa Barbara has a restriction on building height. I think remember the old Granada Theater. That was
Mm-hmm.
the tallest building in Santa Barbara. I think is the Granada Theater. It might be the Arlington Theater, but that's just like a little steeple on the theater. Um,
Yeah.
so Santa Barbara as far as growth goes is pretty restrictive. Goleta I noticed had a handful of like maybe 5-story apartment complexes near the college, which makes sense. I mean, you got to house the students and in some sort of semi-affordable student housing slash apartment complex, and that's to be expected as a student to live in like a dorm slash apartment vibe, um, for the students. So UCSB, shout out to UCSB. I mean that's a pretty awesome college. It's right on the frickin' beach. Did you ever go out there to IV ever or?
Yeah, that's kind of a
Yeah,
cool little area,
yeah,
especially when you go up Ascalita. You got that whole little stretch that reminds me of that stretch between Ventura and Malibu. Just kind of,
yeah. It's really pretty up there. It's almost like you kind of cross a line, and it's like it feels like you should be with a horse and buggy or something. You know, it's like those beautiful old California mountains, and the beaches are just they. You know, there's no one on the beach up there, pretty much. I mean, there's a few homes, and we had a family friend when I was a kid. Um, Shout out to Brahmi and I think it was Christine Crocs, the Crocs. They moved in next door to us when we were kids on the beach, and then they moved up the coast. Probably for affordability reasons. And this was back in like probably 1980 or something, or maybe even earlier. So some people were getting priced out of California as far back as I want to say the 70s, late 70s. I mean, it's interesting how the little steps in the economy and the prices of homes and things like that. You know, people sometimes had little booms where they were like, "Yeah, we can afford it. We're in Summerland. It's a beautiful beach town." And then they kind of like, their business maybe changed or who knows, but they sort of had to move on from Summerland at some point. As was like my grandfathers always seemed to be ahead of the curve on um, moving to the next best thing. You know?
yeah, yeah. I know that just everywhere in the world, the ocean, the beach, the shoreline is a lot heavier populated than inland, even on the East Coast,
Yeah.
on the Gulf Coast,
Right.
all the way, around the world.
For sure.
It's because access to trade,
Yeah.
access to the ocean's abundance,
Yeah.
and of course
Absolutely.
the weather is always, a little bit nicer because you got that ocean current, like you were saying the other day.
Yeah.
The air just seems crisper. The ocean ionizes things, and
Right.
you get those beautiful sunsets that everyone likes.
For sure. Yeah, and the way you were saying the ionization, like the salt air, there's something in that air where it's like the refreshing, um, sort of almost like a healing situation going on there with the salt air. You know?
Yeah, the salt, and then just the energy of the ocean where the water meets the air, meets the land,
Yeah, all
that
that.
interaction.
Yeah, for sure. It definitely was a draw, of course, to my parents because mom was always sort of like a kind of like a visionary for beauty and almost like some fairy tale that she kind of like foresaw for herself. So I think she sort of like once she caught wind of the beach house situation, it was an old guy who lived down there and he was selling, and she heard about it. They went and checked it out, and the weeds were 6 feet high at the house, and my dad tried to get a bank loan, and the bank was like, kind of being a little hard, and so they had my grandparents co-sign on the loan, and because it was a fixer-upper kind of a thing. Like, are you sure you want to do that? Like, it's a beat-down house. Why don't you just do the nice? But they were like, we could see the dream here because it's on the frickin' beach. I mean, how often can you land a location on the cliff looking out at the Pacific Ocean and own it? I mean, wow. you
Yeah,
know?
it seems too like if you're willing to put in a little work and do some improvement in the community,
Yeah,
build up your equity,
for
that's
sure.
always a better opportunity than buying the finished house with all the bells and whistles for top retail price. You know,
Exactly. I mean, I get both sides of it, but I look at old stuff now, especially where I'm out in Colorado, because this little town. Sometime I'll go through and shoot some pictures. There's a lot of old fixer uppers, and to me, those are just like so cool. Like the old, really hammered house that you can tell has never really been, um, maybe it was maintained 35, 40, 50 years ago, but then it just got kind of left, and people just, sometimes they have like old landlords, like legacy landlords that are just happy to get their old money sent to them every month. Um, and they're not really, hey, let's put a new roof on. Let's spend $30,000 because for the old folks, $30,000 seems like even 10 grand, 5 grand, all those numbers seem like tremendously high because they're thinking in old world terms, you
yeah,
know?
and then they have to raise the rent once they put in another 50,000. They need
Yeah,
to raise
exactly.
500 now. The tenant that they had for years and years and years, they
Yeah,
have to change the tenant. Everything changes.
I
Um,
know it's weird, right? I mean,
it's weird.
yeah.
It's like my favorite instrument. It hasn't changed much.
Yeah, exactly. No, for sure, man. That's cool. Yeah, so that brings it back. I saw the Cold Springs Tavern yesterday. Um, was it? Yeah, we drove by a couple times because, on the way down to the Paradise Road to the San Ynez River, you can take the old San Marcos Road, which takes you by the Cold Springs Tavern, and under that big bridge, that suspension bridge that goes like on the 154, that big bridge. So it's just coming back, basically like. Michael Jackson ended up back there. So I don't know who took him up there, but they're like, probably, Michael, let's take you up the coast and show you some property. And just when you get up to Santa Barbara, you see the ocean for the first time in Ventura County when you're coming from Los Angeles, and that alone is kind of like a it's kind of like it takes your breath away. You go through a tunnel, you come out, you see the ocean. You're like, oh my God, it's so pretty. And then that coastline of Santa Barbara and the palm trees, all that. And then you go up the 154, which is essentially a mountain pass road, and you come up to the top of the mountain, and then there's this beautiful valley behind Santa Barbara. So it's really sort of like it's really a take your breath away experience for people. To live through and then be like, I can have a house back here and it's this much, but if I bought it in Hollywood, it would be this much. Wait, that's an incredible deal. I bet Michael got his Neverland Ranch for like, oh God, I would have to guess like $3 million or something, but 3 million in 1990 was a lot. But I bet in Hollywood it was probably like it'd be back then it'd probably be to own what he had, it'd be like 10 million in
Oh
in
yeah, it's wild.
in 1990. But now they're probably, who knows what they're asking for it now. But the prices went like literally through the roof. On Padero Lane, down where we used to ride our bikes, Old Beach Club Road and Santa Claus Lane. Some of those houses along that row are like, I think there's some $100 million houses on that line on Padero Lane near Beach Club Road.
Oh, absolutely. I remember going. This was back when I was on the road per se, kind of just
Right.
traveling in my truck, and my truck was kind of beat up, and you could kind of tell that I was, living on the road. But
Yeah.
I drove down there because that was my old stomps. I rode that road every day to Santa Claus Lane or to Carpinteria pinball machines, and
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, you could
Exactly.
tell the hoity-toity, gentrified, like looking at me like you don't belong here on this road. This is for the uh, us, the money
Yeah.
people. And it
Right.
was a weird feeling because that's my home. I would
Yeah.
go to
It's like
Beach Club Road to go
you're.
mow my grandmother's lawn, and I would go
Yeah.
down to
Exactly.
visit some friends that lived in these beach houses, and it wasn't about I got money. It was just about this is the beach. This is the beach life. Let's chill. Let's listen to music. Let's have a bonfire, and you could come from any walk of life and show up to a public beach, and the people there were just they'd embrace you. That beach culture, that beach
Absolutely.
vibe,
Yeah.
and it's changed a little bit. There's still
Mhm.
certain pockets where you can get that, but there's just so many people that want to live on the beach, experience going to the beach, that it's gotten to where it's competitive. Now I'm competing to have a beach house. We did the search, and the listing is like, yeah, $20 million.
Exactly. I mean, so it does put it in the level of, I kind of think of California now as like sort of like, people that are the extreme go getter, like extremely mindset is definitely toward like success and driven. And if you're like 20 years old, let's say you're born on the East Coast but you have this California West Coast dream, um, you have to be on the top of your game, and you're putting in the hours. Like my friend Yuri in the film business, he dropped me off in Santa Clarita at because he had a 7 a.m. call time. He got home probably 8:30 at night that day, so he's on set all day. Like that's probably a 12-hour on the clock day, and that's probably, I would say, average for the film business, in terms of being on set. Which, it's no joke, as far as there's no, laziness is not an option for the working folks that want to make those dreams happen.
Oh,
So
absolutely. I remember when I did a couple little gigs when I was in the valley. Studio audience stuff was always
okay,
kind of fun because they paid you like $100 cash,
that's
but
awesome.
it really was 4 or 5 hours of sitting around waiting,
Oh, for sure, right?
you
Like in
know.
holding. Yeah, definitely.
And then I did do a court TV. I forget which judge it was,
Uh huh.
but yeah, that was a show up. Call time I think was 8 o'clock,
Okay.
and then
Yeah.
you sat in the room, and then they interviewed you and they found out who to match you with, and then they
Oh,
put you up in the green room with some snacks, and you worked out a script because those court shows they don't have a script. It's just kind of here's the idea. You guys come up with the storyline, and so you spend a few hours in
wow.
working with those people, coming up with a storyline. The producer comes in and says, "Okay, what do you guys come up with?" And he maybe tweaks it a little bit and says, "Okay, you guys are up in an hour." So
All right.
now you practice, your persona,
Uh
and
huh.
then you go down and shoot, and you shoot, and
That's
then
incredible.
you got to sign out. And by the time you're done, yeah, it's been a 10-hour day. I mean, not
Yeah.
necessarily hard work because you're sitting in a comfortable chair. You got some snacks, you got some time in between these different phases,
Right.
but just to see someone grinding that production,
Right. For
they're
sure.
there 6 days a week doing that. They're there before you. They're there after
Yeah.
you. That's
Exactly.
their job to be there 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, so they get the shows out.
Yeah.
And
It's
so
it's
that's
wild.
what it takes to be in the show. That's what it takes to earn enough money to pay the rent that it requires to
Right.
even in the valley, even if you commute from the valley.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like the living wage now in California, I think they say 25. I might be slightly out of touch, but think it's 25, and I don't know if that's 25 after taxes or before taxes. Um, but like my dad said, I'm out of touch. Like, because 25 an hour for a carpenter, a professional carpenter belt with a belt was in I want to say in the 1970s, and then 1980s was like a great wage. Like that was their top line, was 25 an hour. So I think the carpenters are probably pulling 45 and up, because the bosses, I think, have to charge probably like 90 an hour or something like that, because it's almost like you have a crew working underneath you, but you're paying them, like, let's say 45 an hour or something, but you're billing out the client a higher rate, because you're making money on each guy on top of their wages, because you got
Well,
to pay
yeah, you got to cover
workman's comp.
insurance.
Yep, yep,
You got to put in that time of human resources, of management, of doing the
totally.
books, of ensuring they have supplies, of
Yeah,
ensuring they're staying productive and busy, scheduling. So there's a lot of behind the scenes work. You think, oh, well, he's doubling 45 an hour. What's this guy doing? Well, the licensing, insurance, maintaining that. We've got a visitor.
cool. Yay. We had the cat last night in the hotel room, just classic Jerry the cat, just meow meow. Thankfully he was nice and visiting me and meowing, but he was like the all night, you know they're on their own schedule. Like the cat diner never closes. I love those cat memes where they're like the cat at 3 in the morning, something like, they're napping in the daytime, but at nighttime they're riding a motorcycle and and tearing up the neighborhood.
No, that's
Yeah.
exactly it. I come in from a day, the sun's going down, and I'm getting ready for bed, and my cats are like, wait, it's time to do donuts in the living room. And
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, howl at the door so I can go outside. And
Right. Yeah. So someone was saying, like, one of my friends, like, about like the certain animals now. I know the octopus, and there's another one, it might be dolphins, like the whole sentient being thing, where they're like, oh yeah, we figured out that a certain little animal does this for fun. Like they're literally like playing for fun, and so there's something to be said for that, because I had a thought the other day where we come back after we leave this plane as a human, we come back as an animal, and then you're in an animal form going, oh shit, you really do come back, and now I'm a dog or whatever it is you are in the next life. But the your brain is still there, and you're still your what is it, self-realization or something like that, in terms of what you are, knowing what you are now and knowing what you were then and all that crazy stuff. So anyways,
yeah,
yeah, man.
it's very interesting how science has spent so many hours trying to prove that humans are smarter because we have a bigger brain or bigger brain per mass. But then they find out that a parrot with a pea brain, as far as size,
Yeah,
is actually very, very intelligent. The density of intelligence is still
still.
something that we think we know, but I have to
Yeah.
say that I personally don't think we know what we think we know. I mean,
Oh, right. I know exactly. Only some people, like, was it fucking Stephen Hawking and Albert Einstein, like you mentioned him before. Those guys that just like, they're incredibly tapped in beyond the norm, and those guys are sort of like a glimpse of what really is the truth, and what is reality and all that stuff. Um, Thankfully, I mean, I want to say we're, as Summerlanders, somehow we got brought through the porthole in an interesting above average awareness sequence or something, where to be given the if there's a party or club in heaven, and it's almost like, to me, Summerland was like a portal, or being blessed to be born in Summerland was sort of like, to me, like just a huge, obviously now looking back, it was just a tremendous blessing for us as kids to be able to live there, and grow
oh,
up in
absolutely.
Summerland.
I mean, I don't know about you, but the people I know from Summerland, and a little thing that we call telecommunications, aka ESP, aka Sixth Sense,
Yeah.
wasn't unusual. In fact, it was kind of like, no, this is normal.
Right.
And I do think that it is normal among humans. It's just been, conditioned out of us by
Yeah.
not being allowed to be in that Summerland area,
Right. Like
and
in.
just that whole thing of, yes, this is something. Be aware of it, like a
Right, for sure. Yeah,
a
like
little
yeah.
They can just see the things. Look at, be
Yeah.
pretty for the camera.
Yeah, they're just pre-programmed for fun, pre-programmed for naps. Their lifestyle, and then of course we're the servants. You know, it's like it's almost like they're the kings, and we're the people building the pyramids for them. You know, build it out of carpet though. That way they can
No,
do the
it's
do the
funny
adventure.
because of the way I do things. You know, I call it my rainbow bubble. Right,
Yeah.
being an empath or hypersensitive, as the doctors, the clinicians said, oh, he's got an illness. He's hypersensitive. But in reality, it's my true nature to be sensitive,
Uh-huh.
and so I had to protect myself, right? And I learned
Right.
to do a barrier, and I called it the rainbow bubble. So the funny thing is I'm here in the cat room, in the slash music room. You can see the piano and the ukulele, the guitar,
Yeah.
and I'm coming in to clean this little precious thing, and the other one, their poop box, their litter box.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, doing the most mundane servitude thing you can do. And there's this amazing fractal quantum rainbow on my
Right.
wall. You know, oh, she's biting me. She's biting
Yeah.
me. She loves me. And so
Yeah.
there's amazing quantum rainbow on the wall that I would not have seen or known as part of my experience had I not been doing the servant thing for the cat.
Exactly.
So it's like the beauty of servitude and just coming in. Oh, I love the cats. I love my job as a cat poop cleaner.
Right. Exactly.
And
No, for real,
boom,
man.
fractal rainbow. What?
Yeah.
Where did
Exactly.
that come from?
Right. Yeah. It's. I mean, that stuff. It's like, why do we work? Well, we work for cats. Essentially, that's the whole method, or the goal is like to serve the cats, man, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, absolute Jericho. We missed the halfway point break.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
down to about 3 minutes. I haven't done
Yeah.
show and tell too much other than I'm in the
Yeah.
music.
I know, that's cool. And that's a washboard, right? So is that an antique washboard, more or less,
You know, I
or is it
believe
a redo, like a redo?
I think it's a redo.
But it's still usable. Is it wood, or is that some sort of composite material?
It's
The actual
wood,
slats.
and
Okay,
it
it's all
does
wood.
look like you can see the little nails.
Okay,
They've
wow.
been in there for a while.
Yeah,
I think it may have been left outside at one time, but yeah,
because
the
it's
nails look kind
rusted.
of older.
Yeah, that's cool.
And it just sits here on my electric piano next to my guitar,
That's
or one of
awesome.
my guitars, and my
Do you think that was made for it to be an instrument? Actually, even though it used to be, it had a different purpose a long time ago, but then it
I
went to.
believe so.
Yeah, I think you're right. Because
It says use either side according to fabric, but the metal looks galvanized, looks
right,
machined.
that's
I mean,
cool.
it could be a little bit older that someone took care of. You know, and then we
Yeah.
got this,
Oh, nice. That's
my
freaking
little
awesome.
music, my
Hell
music.
yeah, that's rad. That
Got
one
the
guy,
metronome.
there's that one special Hawaiian man who does like somewhere over the rainbow or something like that. I think he may have passed on. He was a larger, heavyset
Uh-huh.
Hawaiian man. He did an incredible version of somewhere over the rainbow or
Now, you
something
know
like
the
that.
story behind that, right?
Not so much, no.
So he basically was inspired,
Okay.
called up a studio like at 2 or 3 in the morning, and it was just so pleasant and nice and friendly. They said, "Yeah, come on in and record."
Right. That's
And
rad.
it's just
It's so
ukulele
special.
is an amazing instrument. I guess
Yeah.
today's show is brought to you by ukulele.
Yeah, exactly. Sponsored by Ukulele and that Hawaiian badass dude who jammed that song that makes you want to cry, pretty much, because it's just so heartfelt and badass.
No, it's so cool because when we're talking here, I feel like we're somewhere over the rainbow.
I
I
know
feel like we're
exactly.
in Never Land.
Yeah,
Just
we're in
being
the
able to be
Summerland. We're
here.
in the Summerland. Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, so we're Coffee with the Summerland Kids. I'm Jericho Wog, and this is Aaron Riggs. Thank you guys for joining us. We love you. Um,
Don't forget
and
to smash that like button.
yeah, like and subscribe.
Smash like, smash,
Yeah, just like
share.
just like a video game. You're firing off firing off rockets into video game world. That's what we do. All right,
All
you
right,
guys. We
Jericho.
love you.
It's
Have a
30
great
minutes.
afternoon.